scoop. You know, your fly is going to taper in like this versus being flat if it's on the shank. So using a figure eight, let me pull this up. Using a figure eight, we're going to lock this in. Not too important where it goes because the goo will lock everything in once you get that going. So there's your first one of, again, that's 30-pound multi-strand, and then the second one we're going to put in here. 1, 2, 3, cut it across. Whoa. And we're just figure Xing, or figure eighting, back and forth to lock this bad boy in place. Okay, now we're going to wrap it up and try and keep some tight loops. Take your time on this part. It'll help you make better loops to begin or at the end when you're wrapping it with a kind of colored cord like an ultra wire. I am going to use the ultra wire to run it across the spine of this fly. So just take your time and make sure you get those wraps nice and tight. And you don't need to build it all the way up to the eye of the hook. You want to leave a little bit of a gap, which is where you're going to connect your wire, trim it, and use your black thread to finish off the head. So that's that. I'll throw on a quick whip finish. And cut. Going to use the large brass wire. Start at the back. Trying to keep these wispy wires out of the way. Once we get on the shank and off the bend, things will go a lot better for us, a lot smoother. There we go. And you can push it down tight with your thumb if you're a little bit off. These aren't the fastest flies to make, but they are very durable and they look just amazing. So one of my favorites to make and to tie. I'm just going to keep wrapping it and wrapping and wrapping it until we get to where we want to stop. Again, we're not wrapping to the hook eye. I'm going to stop right about there, which gives us that much room. I'm going to trim it with the wire cutters here. Tight. Push it down. Trim it with the wire cutters back here. Tight. Push it down. Alright. Next we go to the black thread. I'll be working the head here. Wrapping it up. Looks good. And we'll start with the wire, the trolling wire that's closest. And what we're going to do is build this and kind of try and work it to be symmetrical. And that's what I'm going to do right here. And you want to attach it towards the last wrap of your ultra wire, because you've got this second wire that needs to come up and be attached too. So what you're looking for is kind of a symmetrical shape. Once you can get a symmetrical shape with your wire, you put a few wraps on it, it's under tension, then you can go ahead and snip it rather close to where you've left off. And then bring your second wire over to where you want it to be and make it the shape that you want. If you want it to be a little bit bigger, let it be a little bit loose, okay? A little bigger basket. If you want it to be thinner, more like a blade, then pull it tighter and keep it closer to that inner loop that you just wrapped up. Now, making the frame, you just kind of tinker with it until you get the right shape that you like, the right diameter around here. Is it sitting where you want it to sit, or is it a little bit too loose? So you just play with it and figure out what you want. Now you're dealing with the two cords, the trolling wire, and so get it to the shape that you want. I mean, that looks pretty good. That's more of a blade shape for me. If you want to make a more of a traditional spoon, just pull on that last wire that you put in a little bit and form it the way you want to form it. So that is it. These are pretty much locked in. I'm going to trim them down. One down and two down. Finish it off with a few thread wraps to build up a head. Whip finish. And that's it. Real easy. Now, the application of the goo. Again, we will be using the thick. And all you want to do is basically draw where you want the goo to be. Start with all the wire, cover all the wires. Okay, so I got the spine right there. Okay, now I'm going to work the inner wire around, applying a decent amount. And then I'm going to go to the outer wire, applying a decent amount. Okay, once I've worked the wires together, now I'm going to kind of just mesh them over and drag the goo all over. So now we're starting that frame. You can see on the top, that part's done. Now I'm dragging it and smoothing it out, pulling it around where I want it to be pulled. And now I'm going to smooth it by just rotating it. And I'll put a little bit of the goo on the head here to make it almost look, basically lacquered. So it's one uniform piece. And I'll come across the back here and cover it with the goo as well. If you wanted to add a tail, you certainly could. But that is pretty much it. Now I'm just waiting for it to smooth to the way I want it to be. And what I'm going to do actually is loosen this up a little bit so I can adjust it, because I want some of this material to run down towards the back to smooth it out, because right now it's kind of gathered back in the back. Give it a few turns as you're waiting for it to set up to where you want it to be set up, and then we will hit it with the light. I'm just wiggling it to it helps to get it smoothed out and pushed to where you want it to be. Now I'm going to add the light. I'll turn it on right now. 1, 2, as I'm spinning, 3, 4. I'm going to go a little bit longer just because it is a little bit thicker. 4, 5, whatever we are on now. But that's probably it. That's cured. It's no longer soft. It's no longer tacked.